Hey, hello everyone, welcome. Today we'll talk about the XRP for a little bit. We've done a couple of videos on Bitcoin and the way it was kind of breaking out. So that's still in progress and it looks pretty good. So check out those videos if you want to see kind of what the projections are and the wave counts on Bitcoin. But XRP, looks interesting. I've been following it, ever since it started to do this breakout back here. This is a quarterly chart. And since then it started to become interesting as a wave count. Until then it was pretty weepy and all over the place, so it didn't really draw a lot of attention. But obviously, once it started to move, things kind of started to fall into place, and that signal was given back here. If you look at these couple of quarters, the market was trying to sell off, and then the following quarter, last year in July, it basically almost engulfed this candle, and then that led to a pretty big breakup. And we had that kind of labeled here in this wave 3. Then we've done a 4. I was talking about this correction as it was kind of happening, that maybe the wave W or that first drop, it wasn't going to be enough. They were probably going to get an X wave. We did get it, and then we got a Y wave, and then an end of a wave 2, I think, in 38.2%. This is obviously one weekly chart. So we'll dive in my projections here to the upside here very shortly, but I also want to show you kind of what's going on the monthly time frames. And going back quickly to the quarterly, I mean, this looks pretty good and kind of very decent. I don't think we've had any, and I know a move, let's say from here to, I don't even, $6 or $7, it's not going to be that massive as the move was, from 2 cents, to $3. But definitely there's more room to run. I don't really follow along in terms of market cap and what's possible and what's not. Besides my pay grade, there's probably better informed guys. I'm just watching a simple wave count, right? So in terms of the monthly here, this looks good. It had a chance, after this rejection, to move lower and create even a deeper correction, but that hasn't happened, which is very encouraging. So when you get only a 23.2 a correction, that usually tells you there's probably more upside to come in that particular issue, being that maybe a coin or being a stock or what have you. But the tighter you are at the high, I think that better it is for price. So we're trading 277, approaching the other highs. Eventually we'll get to these highs back there from 2017, I guess. But let's take a look at the wave count here. So the weekly, I'm basically looking for a wave 3, 4, and 5 to complete a wave 3, and then we're probably going to get a 4 and a 5, and we'll see where this, actually, leads. But I think we'll get a better sense of my projections if I go here to the daily time frame, because I have a couple of fibs, and that's kind of what I use for projection to the upside. And what I do is I try to combine multiple fib zones and create some zones of a cluster where multiple fibs kind of hit, and that should attract price. I've seen it happening over and over again, and I think it's a pretty good way to kind of at least have something in mind for where you want to take profits, or just kind of look at the price where we could pause a little bit. So again, this is probably a complex correction in here in a WXY. Then you do have an impulse, and I was a bit worried because this could have been a failed move here at the top of this X wave, and where you can usually get another X wave, right, where the market goes up there and then it falls back and it starts to overtake the low of this and creates almost like another Z wave. So you would have a WXY XZ. Well, instead, and this is not the cleanest impulse, but I think labeling this as a wave 1, it makes sense now that we're starting to move higher, and looking how far this wave 2 kind of pulled back. You see in green up there, right? It is exactly 61.8, which is a pretty good clue that right there, it's a wave 2 low. So if that's a wave 2 low, given by the way this corrective move looks, which is probably another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, maybe a flat in B and a C. So it could be that. It's fine. I don't really care what it is. I never really do. All I'm watching is, when it finishes, how it breaks out of there, and those are the signs I'm looking for. So anyway, this is a wave 2 pullback into the 61.8 at 195. And now we overtake the high of the wave 1. right? Which gives me a lot of encouragement that you're actually at the beginning of a larger wave 3. Now, a couple of projections for this. What you see right now on the chart is basically an inverse fib of this entire decline from wave 1 top to this wave 2 low, right? So if I place a fib like that, 61.8 retracement of that was right here at 254, and that the extensions to the upside are, and the ones that I usually target are near 138%. So that comes at about 445. Now check this out because it's really interesting. So if I take this wave 3 and I compare it with the wave 1, I show you that wave 3, 161.8 of this wave 1 for a wave 3 comes in at about 427, which is, interestingly enough, very, very close to this 445 level. Now I'm gonna pin this out so it doesn't move, and then we'll do wave 3 versus wave 2. And you can see that 261.8. So what do I measure here? I measure the inverse fib of this wave 2. Just like I've measured this guy, right now I'm measuring this guy back here in purple, and 261.8 of that guy, it's about 453. 261.8, 161.8, 138.2 as a usual reversal. It is, everything kind of falls down to about between 427 and 453. So in my view, I think these are very decent targets, very, very decent targets for XRP to hit them in the months ahead. Now, this won't happen in a straight shot like tomorrow or, next month. You never know, right, with crypto, but eventually, we will get there somehow, and I think that that's the target for the upside. Of course, you can always fail, and something else can happen, right? I'm not saying this is guaranteed stuff. It never really is, but it's it does work. Just like you look at Bitcoin and see kind of what it does, and I've done this many times, so I can kind of confidently say that once you pass above 78.6 retracement of a decline, you're usually moving up into the 138, 123, and then you project then wave 3, and you do reverse fibs of a wave 2. So bottom line is that that's the goal. Now, if market really wants to go crazy and it can push this wave 3 towards 261.8 multiple of the wave 1, something like, I don't even know. I mean, let's check this wave 3. How big was that? And look, I mean, I don't even have it marked, but 261.8, it was basically at 199, and the market went $1 higher at about 290. So I would have to check exactly what that fib is by adding it into the math there. But I'm not saying we're going to get the same explosion. Obviously this comes from a half a dollar, but if you get 261.8, that will take you to $7. Okay, and that's, you also have 200%. Reverse of this decline, right? So if you take this wave 1 to wave 2, 20% of that move comes at about 701. So again, another confluence of levels. So first, one thing at a time. We're going to be looking at about 427, and then now if you want to dive down into small waves in here, you can go 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5 4 5, and then you build up another sequence in here. So listen, let's see what happens. That's all I have for you for today. I wanted to talk a little bit of the XRP if you're interested. I mean, I know there's people that don't care about XRP, only care about Bitcoin, only care about Ethereum. This is not about that. It's not emotional about what coin it is or what it isn't. It's just some simple math and just some simple wave counting on something that's been moving into one of the coins I said that has a lot of history behind it, and still draws a lot of interest. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it as always. I'll talk to you I think next week. Bye bye.